Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new episode of A Coffee With. Today I am with the legend, Elliot Grove. What is your favorite coffee?
Oh, my favorite coffee is this one right here. It's actually black right now, but my favorite is white. I've got some white here, but I was so excited to be here, I couldn't remember to put it in. Just a couple drops. And yours?
Mine is a oat milk latte because I'm vegan. Yes, very healthy. So please feel free to have your coffee. This is a very chilled conversation. This is with an audience today, so thank you all for making your way here. Thank you. Let the camera hear you. And thank you, of course, to the RSA Royal Society of Art for hosting this coffee with today. I'll have a sip of coffee and let's sip deep into this conversation with my first question. I really would like to know, because a lot of people already know about you, what you do. You founded the Raindance, you founded the BIFA. But before going into that direction, I would like to know what it is that after all these years sparkle your energy into being such a hero into the independent film industry.
I grew up in Toronto. I'm a farm kid. Any farm kids here today? No? As we become ever urbanized. My parents were Amish, the Protestant sect, the horse and buggy people. I was always told never, ever, ever, ever to go to the movie theater because I was told, as you all probably know, that the devil lives in the movie theater. It was summertime harvest season, hot summer's day. A part broke down on the farm and my dad couldn't fix it. I'm 16 years old. I'm the kid that gets sent into the local village just outside Toronto to the blacksmith. I get there, and when I found out it was going to take 3 long hours to do the repair, you see, it wasn't worth me going all the way home and turning around coming back. It was hot summer's day. I had a few coins in my pocket and had 3 hours to kill. And right next to the blacksmith was the place of the devil, up from the house of the Lord, the church. And I knew you couldn't go there, and I went in, and I was so nervous. I walked up and down the street a few times, about 3, 4 times, seeing if I should go in, and I did. And you know, back then, they only charged 99 cents to see what the devil looked like. I paid my money. I had no idea what was going to happen. I walked down this tunnel into a big room, you know, a bit like church. Chairs lined up facing the front. I sit down, it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A couple other people there that hot summer's day. They turned the flippin' lights off. I had no idea. The curtain slowly opened, and the first face of the devil I saw at the most tender age of 16 was Lassie Come Home. And I cried like a baby, and then I went up to feel the screen to see if it was all gone in a twinkling of an eye. And people to this day ask me for my favorite movie. I always say, Lassie, Come Home, because without that movie, I would not be here today.
Thank you. And what made you decide to create a film festival?
I always love movies. I went to art school in Toronto when I graduated. I broke my mommy's heart. She wanted me to go to university. I ended up in Toronto painting sets on commercials and feature films, over 50 or 60 feature films that helped to make the sets. I then came here to this small, damp, dirty, dark island and worked at the BBC for a while. Went back home and I ended up staying for 9 years because I met the girl and we had kids. And I did all kinds of things. And then when I came back here in the mid-'80s, I fancied myself a property entrepreneur and buying and renovating, made loads of money until 1992, the last big recession. I don't know if you guys know, interest rates here actually went to 24%. And the value of properties in London and the UK went down 50%. I was stuck with a lot of luxury flats that were now worthless, so I went totally bust. At that time, I was living in a National Trust property just outside London. Gorgeous place, old. Farmer Fred, who had the surrounding 100 acres, he was a farmer. Now, he was old. He was so old, he was actually a barber in World War I. He died about 12 years ago. He was 90-something when I met him. And he saw me for a whole year moping around, feeling sorry for myself. And one day he called me on it and he said, you know what, Elliot, no doctor in the world can help you when you're feeling sorry for yourself. Do any of you ever feel sorry for yourself? So I said to him, what should I do? He said, do what you love. And that's when I remembered Lassie Come Home, and that's the day I started Raindance.
What was the cinema it started, and why did you pick up that place?
We've played in many different venues throughout. No, I'll tell you how I was so naive. I didn't know much. But I knew about the trade papers. I went and got that year's 1993 in May Cannes Film Festival. Variety do a big thick product guide. Maybe some of you have seen that, yeah, where they list all the upcoming films. I circled 100 films with Suzanne, which we thought would work, because in those days every film had the producer phone number and fax number. Now at that time I was sharing an office. So broke, so broke. Remember, I had no money, but I had £100 I could spend on promoting the festival. So we circled 100 films. I was sharing an office that charged £1 per fax, international, back in the days before internet. I was so broke, I couldn't photocopy, so I made one letterhead, Raindance, typed up a letter, but then had to white out the name of each person, and I faxed off 100 of these until my money ran out. And one of the films that came to Raindance that very first year was What's Eating Gilbert Grape? So I was really lucky. But the third year was terrible. We were so broke. Screen 2 was the basement of the Arts Theatre Club here in London on Dean Street. Do you know it? The Arts Theatre Club in the basement. And Screen 2, in that horrible little room, was a bed sheet stuck to the wall with thumbtacks that kept falling down. That was Screen 2.
That's fantastic, because it gives all of us that are also trying to run film festivals, think that we can make it. Yes, we are doing it. So thank you so much. And because in our audience there are a lot of filmmakers as well, my question for you is, you receive tons of films every year. What is that you tell your team, or if you still do watch yourself the films that comes in, what is that you look at in order to be selected to be part of the Raindance?
We always tell people who are watching a film, we remind us that as human beings, our bodies are 75% fluid. And a good movie or a good story forces your body fluid out of an appropriate pore. So if the movie does that, then I think it's good. But basically, that was a long answer. The short answer is it's got to be extreme topic. We have championed social impact and whatever. You need to use extreme filmmaking techniques. We were probably the first festival in the world to show film shot on cell phones and digital back, and we've been doing it for so long. And then, of course, the big one is it's got to be extremely entertaining. In other words, I mean, which pore did that body fluid seep out of?
Is there a length that you recommend for short films and feature films? Or is just like as long as the film is well told, you select it?
We've showed films as short as 15 seconds. We once had a film that was 8 seconds long. It was playing at the Prince Charles Cinema here, and I knew what was next, but I really had to pee. So I ran out to pee, came back, and I missed it. Your story needs a certain time to breathe, and as long as you're not putting people to sleep, as I'm afraid I'm doing right now here today, and make it too long. So you can make your idea too long or too short, and I think storytelling is a real skill, and the fact that you could do it with cameras and music and actors, wow, what a palette you have.
Absolutely, and it's just lovely hearing from you, so you're not making anyone sleep. I think I've talked for everybody. But before I move on to the audience questions, I wanted also to know more about the BIFA. So especially this year, I must say. So I go often to the Cannes Film Festival and I meet a lot of filmmakers. And this year especially, they were all asking me, instead of, oh, are you BAFTA qualifying or Oscar qualifying, they were all asking me, are you BIFA qualifying? I said, oh, that's interesting. Why BIFA this year, not BAFTA or Oscars? And so I have now the opportunity to ask you why BIFA started and how to qualify a short film for BIFA. So if you can please enlighten us.
I started Raindance in 93. In 1998, I was so annoyed that you British people had ignored Raindance, but who came were the Americans and the Peruvians and the French and the Germans and the Indians and the Chinese, Japanese, but not the British. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll start something called the Independent Film Awards. And then Suzanne, who's here today, she says, let's put the word British in front. I thought, that's a good idea. Get all you Brits off your sofas. And we threw a party. That was the year of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And Chris Nolan's first film, the following. 3 weeks after that first event, I got a very nasty letter from your British Houses of Parliament saying, you just can't put the word British in the front of an event. I said, why not? And basically they said, because British people are so naive, they'll just think it's got the check of quality. So I spent the next 18 months going to the Ken Loaches and the Mike Lees and the Good and the Great, and finally got permission to call it the British Independent Film Awards. 10 years in, it's 28 years old now, 10 years in it became a charity, and I'm still a board member, and the whole point of why maybe people think BIFA and not BAFTA. It's the first time I've heard that. It's very flattering, by the way.
It's true. I'm not kidding.
No?
No.
You're not.
No.
Just you're not saying that.
No, I'm not saying that because you're here. It
Yeah.
truly went like that.
See, my eyes are flickering because I'm trying to see if I can trust you or not. But
You can, Tina, one of the filmmakers that is coming, she was one of those
all right.
specifically asked for.
I think people want to know about BIFA is because it is cool as opposed to corporate. And we have a very transparent selection process. There are 500 or 600 people like you here today who watch films and go, yay, middle, or like that, and if enough go like that, it goes on the list, without being subjected to the curse of public funding or advertising or promotion, which is the downfall of the Oscars, by the way. You know, I have a friend who does the Oscar shorts, and she, if you wanted her to PR you, she starts at $20,000. And last year, 5 or 3 of the shorts, documentary, animation, feature, like narrative, 5 of those 3, or 3 of those, whatever, got nominated were her clients that she knew how to roll the red carpet out and wine and dine. We can't do that at BIFA yet, and I hope never. And we made it for us, not for whatever.
Thank you, Elliot. That was fantastic. So we have also some film festivals, independent film festivals in the audience. So can you explain to us, first of all, how a short film gets qualified to be a BIFA qualified short film, and then how a film festival gets qualified?
To get qualified for BIFA, you need to be on the BIFA list, and your festival is. That's great. It's fantastic. And we try to be as inclusive as possible. To be on the Oscar list, you have to go through a very rigorous process. Raindance, if you have an animated short, animated feature, animated documentary short, we've been on the list since 2012 or 13, I think. But every 3 years, we have to reapply. Who's the jury? How do we pick the programmers? What's the selection process? It's extremely rigorous and not that easy to get, apparently. BIFA is much more relaxed because we know that your festival might not be in the same scale or scope as, say, the London Film Festival, but they're hoping that the next hot new talent is more likely to be discovered, not there, but there because you're closer to the flame.
So the accessibility of a festival, how many independent new directors can be discovered there?
My first volunteer, I'll call him now, was a guy who'd made a film for next to nothing, and then I was helping him make that film, and then he went off and become rich and famous. His name was Edgar Wright, but his first film was very small. Another guy that I helped a bit, I let him use my old office in Soho, was a guy who made a feature film for £4,000. He was so broke in the days of film. He was going to UCL and borrowed their equipment. He had so little money to buy film stock, and one shot were the actors running down Berwick Street Market, if you know it, and they got the pictures, but they didn't get the sound. But he was so broke, so he had to do it again, do a fake shot, just recording the sound. That guy's name was Christopher Nolan. These are all the people that we met back in the early days, learning to make movies not with what we wanted to have, but with what we actually had. And those guys, and you people too, remember that the biggest investor that you can ever get in your film is not your bank manager or rich mom or dad. It's your own resourcefulness of how you can put some knee pads on. I left mine at home today. I normally have knee pads begging for money, yeah? And how you can minimize your budget, maximize the production values, and remember, again, what I was saying earlier about those body fluids, because if they stay inside, you've lost.
Is the audience curious enough to ask a question to Elliot?
Hello. Out of the big genre films, the big genres at the moment, seems to be horror is one of the biggest genres. Is there a reason for that? And do you think we'll come back to seeing more dramas and comedies coming back? There seems to be a reason why they're not being commissioned or funded as much as they used to be. And how do we get back to that?
Basically, it comes down to production. You see, when you don't have much money, you can't hire Brad Pitt, right? And also, when you don't have much money, you need to keep the camera close because you don't have room for all the art department. So you get a lot of like that in horror films, don't you? Also, there is they say 15% of cinema goers go only to horror. So you've got a sitting, if you like, audience. The problem with comedy, rom-coms, we've had some terrific rom-coms in the past. But the problem with rom-com is you need to shoot a medium shot, yeah? Which means the face gets smaller, which you need now an actor with a name. And if you can't afford the actor with the name, no one will go and see it. So you want to do something that you have enough money to get a Keira Knightley or whoever it is, because their face smaller on the screen, you'll still go, ah, I recognize that person. So we find that comedies, rom-coms, are really difficult to break out into commercially, even though we show them at Raindance if and when we like them.
Just wondering, what's your favourite genre? Do you have a particular favourite genre that you like?
The one makes the body fluids squirt out of whatever pore. I mean, I love movies. I'm addicted to movies, and I can't give you a favorite unless it is Lassie Come Home, which I cried all the way through.
In your years doing the Raindance and the BIFA and the school now, so you always created something to enrich your business, your entrepreneurship life. Is there something that you still missing that you are looking at to do?
At a conference the other day, and someone said, if I don't want to do AI, what should I do? And the panelist said, become a plumber. Yeah, and it's true that the artificial intelligence, there's all the moral questions and so on. From my point of view, as Anna will tell you, we use AI to go data research and all that. It's a wonderful tool. But then we actually had last year at Raindance we had a special category of shorts created solely in AI. And do you know what? They were pretty crap. But I watched one 3 weeks ago. That one looked like a Coen Brothers one. From Israel, a production company. The guys are called T-O-O, Short to Model. They have been doing AI shorts in which they write the script, put it in, and the only production credit is usually colorist. And these are like mind-bogglingly amazing. But they're still generated by someone's brain. Yeah, and the ones that are generated solely on AI tend to leave the body fluids in your own body. You don't squirt.
Hiya. Since you're talking about AI, if you were to make a film be involved in any way, shape or form, which part of the film would you most like to be interested in using just AI for?
Budgeting, scheduling, all that donkey work.
Okay, which part of the creative process?
The creative process, I think AI could be useful in giving you suggestions, like what color should these walls be. I think the danger of AI is it makes our brains lazy. I want to make a short film, and out it comes, you know. And I think if enough people do that, I'm sure they will, because people are generally lazy. I think what will happen, our brains will slowly atrophy until the entire population becomes walking zombies. But if you're the only one it is not a zombie and still have a camera that works, you'll become rich and famous because you can do the zombie movie in real life.
AI editing, will it ever compete? I mean, of all the processes, I think this is one that I would say, let's still keep it human. What do you think?
I'm not an editor, and every time I try to edit something, it's crap. But again, yeah, it's really interesting. I think artificial intelligence can help with initial selections, but that cut on the beat, I would hope, still remains the domain of a human being with their body fluid flowing out of different pores because they know that at that moment it's just better. But who knows, they're talking about super intelligent AI too, that they will be smarter and better than us human people. And that's a new world, isn't it?
What's your opinion on proof of concepts, shorts for features? Because you hear some quite mixed advice on what kind of story you should tell with them. Should it be a collection of scenes? Should it be an open-ended question to lead into your feature? Or should it be a condensed version of the whole story? Which you think is most effective?
Proof of concept is something we talk about a lot at Raindance because many of the 8,000 or 9,000 shorts that come in every year, roughly a quarter, are proof of concept shorts that the filmmakers are hoping screen in the cinema as they would in your cinema, that someone with the nous, the knowledge of how to get that into feature would pull that out. It's basically a trailer for your film. It's basically giving me, or you for that matter, an idea of what the genre is, the mood, the light, whatever, and also probably 3-4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes top, where we get introduced to the main character and what it is specifically that they want and what the major obstacles preventing them from getting what they want, usually expressed in a secondary character. Now that could be at any point in the film, and chances are the actors you have to help you out next weekend when you're shooting that on your cell phone will not be the ones that you want in the finished film. And maybe they're doing it for free for you because they want to be in the finished film, and maybe they'll be the ones you end up getting in the finished film. But however you do it, it's a tease. It's basically a tease where someone, hopefully with a lot of money in their pocket, will get an idea of the mood, the atmosphere, and the characters, and a bit of an idea of the story arc. I don't know if that... But the problem is, if you do that just as a short film, the danger is it becomes unsatisfying because you're trying to do too much. But if you can do a complete story arc within a few minutes, yeah, that could be expanded. Have you looked at the shorts that spawned movies like Whiplash or District 9, and there's a whole bunch of films that started with shorts. Study those, yeah. I think follow your heart and show it at festivals like yours, or yours for that matter, or ours, and get an idea of the audience reaction. And maybe the short will be so significant that you can put that out, and God, if you go to a film festival, win an award. And if you went to ours, yours, and hers and won 3 awards, you would become a multiple award-winning filmmaker against your proof of concept, which would elevate you amongst the mire of other proof of concept shorts.
So there are so many short film festivals or film festivals in general, and I've seen lately an increase of those also that are like weekly giving out awards. They are not even in person, but they're just online. So there's been a lot of discussion with other festival directors about why a filmmaker should really submit to all these less important film festivals, if I may call them so, just to have a list of easy awards and laurels, or how many actually are looking at those laurels and checking which one are the ones that are significant and which ones are the ones that it could have been my mother giving that laurel.
Someone said, I just won an award. And they go, really? Where? And you say, the Scunthorpe International Film Festival, which no one's ever heard of. You go, oh, okay. Are you trying to hit on me for a date? You know, that would be the next question, right? So awards have meaning. We never offered awards at Raindance the first 10 years. Until year 11, someone who had had a film in the festival 3 years earlier came back with another one. And I saw in their press kit that they said they'd won an award at Raindance. I said, but we didn't even give awards 3 years ago. He said, you gave me an invoice for the screening fee, so I'm going to call that an award. So then we started doing awards.
And in terms of financing, you said for the filmmakers, it's, I think, a bit easy to find friends to make a film with, or being, finding new ways to make whatever they want to make. For film festivals, nowadays I see a tendency of big companies being poorer and like saying, oh, we can give in kind, but we cannot give any more cash funding. Is there a secret to keep your festival going in these difficult times? And can you share it with us?
If you could see my knees, they're scarred and blistered from over the years. It's not been easy. Look, we survive because we have a film school. We also survive because we have a registered charity for the last 20 years where people can donate, and then we get another 25%. We haven't really used that properly since COVID. We're about to relaunch that, and we get a few sponsors. But sponsorship to a festival from a brand comes from how many people, how much press kit, and so on. We reached a tipping point this year. We had over 375 international press articles about the filmmakers who came. The Guardian, the BBC Radio, BBC TV, BBC this, and blah, 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 all that. So if someone were to have their logo on our masthead, that means they're going to get some publicity, right? And I remember when I was starting out, and I was phoning up people like Coca-Cola, we want to sponsor my festival. I'm screening on a bed sheet on Dean Street. And they go, would you please put that urine back in your can and piss off, basically, what they would say to me. Yeah, and of course. But maybe for the ones that, I don't want to use the word smaller, meaning less important, let's say there's relevant festivals with a micro audience should approach your audience for donations, for help, and not having to pay for the projector is important. Not having to pay View Cinema is important, which you are paying, which means you need to raise that money through box office, which is tough, and maybe someone who believes in what you're doing. If you're starting a film festival, this is what I did, my secret weapon. I started off with debut films. So we had debut films by Chris Nolan, Edgar Wright. Pulp Fiction was a second film at the time, blah, blah, blah. So I was very, very lucky to get that. But if you have a niche, something that the films that you show are specifically on a niche. We have the LGBTQ plus, I get the festival here. We have the Human Rights Film Festival. You've got your social impact topics, ecology, whatever your niche. Americans say niche. I say niche. I'm Canadian. Yeah, make that very, very strong, and then you will find that you will collect people that are so passionate about what you're doing that they will reach into their wallet next to their Oyster card and pull out a $5 and drop it in a hat.
If you want to find donors in the US, there is a website. You put what it is, helping directors with sunglasses and dressed in black. You put that, and it will give you all the charities that would sponsor or donors. Regarding the themes, if I put, for example, Me Too somewhere, for example, is there a link? Or if you put paraplegic or helping Somalians, is there any shortcut to that for funding or for festivals or for whatever?
Believe it or not, I grew up in Somalia, so I'm quite touched on that. We use a website called filmfreeway.com. Do you guys know that? Yeah. So that lists maybe 10,000 film festivals, and you can search by documentary or topic, whatever. So that would be for the festival side. In terms of charities, I would assume you would just Google and find, charities in America or whatever according to their mission statement. I've never tried that.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here for this coffee with Elliot Grove. And next appointment is for Raindance. Do you want to say when?
We've got something coming up in September called the 99-Minute Film School. It's 99 minutes, it's one evening. So please come along to that. If you want to come, let you know and let me know, and we won't charge you. We'll give you a free ticket, and it's only 99 minutes.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Elliot. We're going to put in the comments the email to contact us. And thank you again to Mark from the Fun Carpet for helping technically tonight, to Viktoria, and to the RSI for hosting us tonight, and to all of you for coming. Thank you so much.